You're tired. Maybe you don't know the exact reason why, but you feel it. You feel like you're always carrying an invisible weight. As if it's your obligation to keep everything in balance. Please everyone. Avoid conflict. Always be nice, understanding, and polite. From an early age, you believed that being a good person was the right thing to do. You learned that the good guys win in the end. You thought that if you were kind, others would reciprocate. You believed that being fair, honest, and humble would be enough, and the world would notice. But what if I told you that all of this is a lie? A comfortable lie taught to you to keep you obedient, predictable, and controllable. How many times have you stayed silent to keep the peace? How many times have you erased yourself so as not to disappoint anyone? How many times have you let someone disrespect you, use you, and still smiled? You said, "It's okay." For the sake of a supposed virtue, you swallowed your tears, your anger, your pride, only to be ignored. Listen closely. The world doesn't reward good people. The world rewards strategic people. If you're here, it's because you've experienced this firsthand. You've been disappointed trying to be the good guy, the nice person, the understanding friend, and now you're starting to realize it. The more you try to be accepted, the less you are respected. The more you compromise, the more they demand. The more you give, the less you are valued. This is where Machiavelli comes in. Machiavelli wasn't the devil many claim he was. Perhaps he was the first person to tell the naked truth about how power works. He understood something that most people refuse to accept: pure morality, detached from reality, is a trap. Looking good is not the same as being effective, fair, or worthy. In this video, we will talk without filters or masks about why you should stop trying to be a good person. This doesn't mean you have to become a cruel or cold person. It means waking up. Waking up from the childish dream that the world is fair and that being virtuous is enough to be rewarded. We will uncover the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it is. As long as you try to please everyone, you will be a hostage to your own kindness in their hands. If you're tired of being used, ignored, and cast aside, maybe it's time to change. Learn from Machiavelli what you were never taught and finally take control of your life. If you're ready, let's begin. Do you still believe the world values good people? Look around you. Who are the most admired? Who are in leadership positions? Who gains respect, influence, and space? Are they the most generous, the most compassionate, the most just? Or are they the most strategic, the most decisive, the most difficult to manipulate? The truth is brutal. The world is run by utility, not kindness. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He didn't write The Prince to teach how to be evil, he wrote it to show how the game is played. One of the most bitter lessons he gives is this: it is not enough to be good. In most cases, being good is the fastest way to become disposable. You can spend your life being loyal, kind, and understanding. You can give your best. You can help without expecting anything in return. But the day you are no longer useful, you will be forgotten. You will be replaced, silenced, and worst of all, the other party will feel not a shred of guilt. Because the world does not measure your worth by your morality. What matters is what you offer, how much impact you create, what kind of mark you leave. Have you noticed? The nice guys are always chasing. Justifying themselves, explaining. Trying to prove they are worthy. Whereas those who set boundaries, who say no, who present themselves clearly, are respected. They have a voice and a space. Why? Because blind kindness is seen as weakness. Someone who never objects, who poses no threat, is not taken seriously. They are seen as a resource, not an entity. As a tool, not an individual. You can kill yourself trying to please, but if you don't represent power or results, no one will hesitate to use you. I know it's harsh, but it's the truth. Machiavelli said that if a leader has to choose, he should choose to be feared rather than loved. What this means is that true respect comes from the perception that you have the power to act. You cannot be crushed without reacting. You are not a replaceable piece in someone else's game. This applies to you too. If you continue to live just to seem pleasant, you will continue to be seen as someone easily disposable. Not because you are a bad person, but because the world does not reward those who fade away. It's time to understand where this constant need for approval comes from. Because behind your kindness, there's something deeper. Something that has perhaps been sabotaging you for years. We're going to examine just that. Now, in the next section, we will dive into the psychological roots of people pleasers and discover why, most of the time, being good is just fear in disguise. If this content resonates with you, subscribe and don't forget to like the video. Thank you for your support. You weren't born wanting to please everyone. This was taught to you. Worse, you were conditioned. From childhood, you learned that acceptance has a price, giving away pieces of yourself, forced smiles, swallowed desires, silenced opinions, all for the sake of approval. Don't do that, it's shameful, be nice, don't talk back, you're so polite. With these words, you were slowly shaped to fit the expectations of others. But no one told you that constant pleasing is an emotional trap. A psychological prison woven with toxic compliments and punishments disguised as education. You learned that if you please others, you will be loved, and if you show anger, set boundaries, or are selfish, you will be rejected. To survive, your mind did what it had to do, you adapted. The problem is, this adaptation turned into submission. Today, you no longer know how to say no without feeling guilty. You feel responsible for the well-being of others, even if it destroys you. You get disappointed, but you keep it inside. You get hurt, but you forgive too quickly. You exhaust yourself maintaining the image others expect of you. Not because this is your essence, but because this is what gives you a sense of security. But here's the truth, this isn't kindness. It's fear. The fear of rejection, the fear of not being liked, the fear of being seen as a bad person. The fear of being seen as your true self, with your desires, your anger, your boundaries, your voice. This fear has turned you into a self-saboteur. You hide behind socially acceptable but emotionally destructive behaviors. The most tragic part is that you're not even aware you're doing it. You call it empathy, but it's the fear of conflict. You call it understanding, but it's the fear of abandonment. You call it kindness, but it's the fear of not being good enough. Your kindness is actually an unconscious mask to avoid the pain of rejection. But the price of this mask is too high. It suffocates your authenticity, your power, your dignity. If you don't take this mask off, it will stick to your skin. It will become your identity. One day, you'll look in the mirror and not even know who you really are. But there is a way back. To find it, we must learn from someone who understood the power of image, perception, and strategy better than anyone, Machiavelli. In the next section, we'll get straight to the point. The prince can teach us how to stop being hostages to our need to look good and how to be respected for who we truly are. If you are trying to live as a good person, hoping that other people will recognize your morality, ethics, and integrity, stop right now. Machiavelli warned over 500 years ago, this path is beautiful, but dangerous. In the real world, the winners are not the good, but the effective. And being effective in the game of life requires strategy. It requires understanding that people are moved by self-interest, fear, and power, not by your goodness. In The Prince, Machiavelli writes, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are." This sentence is a punch to the gut. It shatters the illusion that being pure and authentic is enough to earn respect. The reality is harsh, people don't see your intentions. They react to your appearance, your image, your impact. You can be the fairest person in the world, but if you seem weak, you will be treated as weak. You can have the most generous heart, but if you don't command respect, you will be ignored. This is why The Prince, and here, you are the prince. Anyone who wants to take control of their life cannot be naive. He must appear virtuous when necessary. He must act strategically when necessary. Machiavelli says that a prince must know how to use the nature of the beast. He must be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. This is a brutally accurate metaphor. The fox is cunning. It sees hidden dangers, it moves silently. The lion, on the other hand, inspires fear, power, and a sense of presence. Machiavelli isn't saying to be just one, he's saying to be both. Be smart enough to perceive who is trying to manipulate you, and strong enough to make them think twice before trying. If you want to be respected, understand that the virtue Machiavelli proposes is not the virtue preached by moralists. This virtue is a mixture of courage, intelligence, audacity, and self-control. It is acting with a cool head when necessary. It is knowing that sometimes, appearing cruel is the only way to maintain order. This comes not from malice, but from wisdom. Here is another quote from him: "A man who wishes to act entirely up to his professions of virtue soon meets with what destroys him among so many who are not virtuous." You know this. You have been that man. You tried to be good in every situation. What did you gain? Abuse, silence, injustice. People don't play fair. And if you continue to play assuming they will, you will always lose. This doesn't mean abandoning your values. It means stop using them as shackles. It means starting to act with power, thinking about how your goodness is perceived and used by others. Machiavelli wasn't a cynic, he was a realist. He saw humanity without romance and veils. He wrote The Prince as a survival guide in a world where appearance is power and weakness disguised as virtue is a death sentence. Perhaps you're now wondering, is it possible to balance this? How can I stop being naive without becoming cold or evil? In the next section, we will demolish the false idea that you only have two options, either be good or be cruel. There is a middle path, and it begins with the strength to stop deceiving yourself. There is a fatal confusion that ruins many people's lives, the idea that to be good, you must be submissive. The thought that to be a good person, you must silently accept everything, forgive without question, and swallow your discomfort to keep the peace. This isn't kindness, it's naivete. It's cowardice disguised as virtue. If you don't understand this difference, you will continue to be the world's emotional doormat. True kindness does not require you to erase yourself. It requires awareness, clarity, and choice. Being good doesn't mean being a cheerful fool who is always available, always smiling, constantly sacrificing for those who wouldn't lift a finger for you. That is self-abandonment. It is emotional dependency in the guise of morality. Naivete believes that people will treat you with the same heart you have. Naivete believes the world is fair and that when you are whole, others will recognize it. Naivete expects gratitude, reciprocation, consideration, and lives in disappointment because it projects a nobility onto others that doesn't exist. True kindness is different, it's solid. It knows how to say no. It knows how to walk away. It understands that not everyone deserves your best, and giving your best to someone who won't reciprocate isn't generosity, it's waste. You can be a fair, compassionate, and honest person and still be feared. You can be respected. You can be someone whose presence has weight, who knows what they will tolerate and what they will not. Machiavelli, though he may seem cruel to modern eyes, did not hate virtue. He hated naivete. He knew that in a world full of predators, powerless kindness is nothing more than fresh meat in the middle of the jungle. The question you must ask yourself now is my kindness protecting me or exposing me? Is it empowering me or destroying me? Because if your understanding of being good is living by swallowing injustices, accepting crumbs, and blaming yourself for feeling angry, then you are not being good. You are being submissive. There is an antidote. There is a point where you can find balance without giving up your essence, without having to kneel before anyone. A place where you can act with courage, clarity, and emotional intelligence. In the next section, we will explore this path. We will talk about how to stop being nice without becoming a scoundrel, and how to take control of your life without selling yourself out. If you want to reclaim your self-respect, the transformation begins here. Many who awaken to their own submission fall into a dangerous trap. They believe that to stop being nice, they must become cold, insensitive, almost cruel. This is the famous pendulum effect. After years of being exploited, you think the only way out is to become the complete opposite, a hard, indifferent, calculating person. But this is just another trap. You don't become stronger when you abandon your essence, you protect yourself through denial. This isn't freedom, it's trauma disguised as power. True freedom comes when you learn to be whole. When you start acting for yourself, not for others. It's not about being good or bad, it's about being real. It's about looking in the mirror and knowing that you can be kind, but you will no longer be passive. That you can be compassionate, but you will no longer be a pushover. That you can extend a hand, but you will no longer beg to be seen. So, how do you stop being nice without betraying who you are? First, understand that your voice matters. You are conditioned with the idea that complaining, setting a boundary, or disagreeing is selfish. This is a lie. Selfishness is expecting you to live in silence while others speak. Raising your voice, taking a stand, saying, "I do not accept this," is dignity, it is self-respect. Second, practice saying no. No is one of the most liberating actions. It doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be shouted. A calm, firm, non-negotiable no is more powerful than 1,000 justifications. Because it communicates your essence, you have boundaries. Those with boundaries are respected, those without them are exploited. Third, look at those who are uncomfortable with your change. These people are your thermometer. When you start to assert yourself, if someone tells you, "You've changed, you're being weird, you're selfish," it means your submission was working for them. When you change, you break the invisible pact that allowed them to use you, and that is uncomfortable. But don't be fooled. This is a sign of progress. Fourth, don't try to be understood by everyone. Not everyone will understand your transformation, and that's okay. You owe no loyalty to the image others have created of you. Your loyalty must be to your truth, your peace, your emotional health. Fifth, replace the need for approval with a commitment to being authentic. When you act authentically, you may not please some people, but you will attract the respect of those who truly matter. More importantly, you will begin to respect yourself, and no one can take that respect away from you. Machiavelli didn't write to teach you to be cruel. He wrote to teach you to stop being naive. And the greatest naivete is to believe that in this world, being good is enough to be respected. It is not. It takes courage to abandon the role of the pleaser. It takes strength to be who you are without asking for permission. But this journey is not over. Now comes the moment of decision. Will you continue to self-sabotage, or will you finally take the reins of your life? In the final section, we will end with a direct, harsh, and necessary call to understand that your obsession with being good could be costing you everything. It's time to decide. Do you want to be liked? Or do you want to be free? It's time to be brutally honest with yourself. How much longer will you play the role of the nice guy? How much more of your energy, your voice, your dignity will you sacrifice to maintain an image that isn't yours, but what others expect of you? Do you think this is virtue, nobility? This is a prison. A psychological prison. An emotional prison. A cell decorated with fake compliments. You are applauded for being harmless, predictable, non-threatening. Let me tell you something perhaps no one has dared to say: no one is coming to save you from this. No one will come and thank you for all your sacrifices. No one will give you the respect you deserve and say, "You can rest now." It's not going to happen. Because as long as you are willing to be used, there will always be someone ready to use you. This isn't evil. It's reality, and reality does not bow to good intentions. You can continue to be that ideal, good person that society has imposed on you. Calm, patient, understanding. Always available, always saying yes. But be prepared for a future full of frustration, anger, and invisibility. Or you can wake up. Right here and now, you can decide that your kindness will not be the leash around your neck. You can decide to act with intention, with presence, with determination. You decide when and to whom you will be generous. You will no longer give what you do not receive. You will not live like a dog begging for scraps of others' approval. The truth is simple: the world respects those who respect themselves. You will be free when you stop asking for permission to exist. So I ask you, when was the last time you said no without feeling guilty? When was the last time you put yourself first? When was the last time you did something for yourself without thinking about how others would react? Write it in the comments. I want to know the moment you realized that being good was destroying you. This conversation must continue. Because there are many people living in the same prison, and you could be the spark that awakens someone. If this video has made you rethink your life, your behaviors, and your view of yourself, you must watch the next video. Trust me. This is important. The journey is just beginning.